Hello again, sir.
Joey,
Hi.
how you
Been
doing?
all right, been a year or two. It's this is good for me. I don't have to work hard to bring up other work you've done. I can just bring up stuff you've done already because that's the nature of this one. I don't have to work in the girl next door in Speed Racer. I can just jump right in. Uh, it's what is it like though when when you do something for a new movie, you're still kind of in the mind frame and you know what you liked and what you didn't. Like this is you know, not in a bad way, but a different part of your life almost. Like
Yeah.
how do you sort of look back on it when as opposed to just if you were flipping channels and it's on, you go, oh shit, I was in that, as opposed to now when you're thinking about it.
The more I think about it, it's surreal because, the film came out '08, didn't do well, bombed and got terrible reviews or whatever. And we were like genuinely saddened and
Yeah.
disheartened and been like, oh my gosh, we thought we had this beautiful film and we did.
Yeah.
And it just took time for the audience to organically see it and appreciate it. And it was one of those things where it felt like it began to sort of snowball.
Yeah.
And I remember in 2012 there was like maybe like Film Hulk or someone wrote an essay on, he's like, I'm not ashamed to say it,
Yeah.
Speed Racer's a masterpiece. And I remember seeing it and being like, whoa, this is a take.
Yeah.
Because before that, I don't know if people were really saying that. And then it was another one and another one and another one. And then all these video essays about it and how much the movie meant to them. And then I saw the movie about 7 years ago at the New Beverly Tarantino's theater. And at the end of the film, I could hear people crying at the Grand Prix. Like I could hear these grown up cinephile midnight audience in tears at this movie that's PG. And I think in that moment I was like, oh wow, this is really this is something that is sticking with people in a very, very unique kind of sacred way to them. I think what Speed goes through in the Grand Prix and fighting the system in the way that he does, in the sort of merciless world that only cares about money and power, and in those moments, taking the lessons that he's learned through his life and sort of finding his own meaning of his life. I think that there's something about that is so cathartic, and I think that that's something that is really anchors the audience emotionally to the film in a way that I think is one of its true staying powers is the emotion.
And it was a type of movie that people wasn't getting made. The if you imagine what that movie would be like before you made it, before you knew who was involved. But if someone just told you, like if you're just talking to a friend and they said, "Oh, I'm in Speed Racer," the thought in your head is different than the movie you guys made. And I think for a lot of people that was the case. It was like, I don't know what this is, and when you have to spend money, people are weird about, I don't know what this is. Here's $20. Let's find out.
Yeah.
But I think it was more so people didn't see it, right? Because people who saw it liked it. Critic wise, it was mixed. It was, I think some people really loved it and some people just was like, it's too much, which is not a bad thing. It was, fast forward a couple years later. I think if Fury Road had come out at that time, it would have gotten the like too much. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
It's good, I think. I think that's, time is always the barometer that figures it out.
And I think that the technology that we now have and use
Yeah.
daily in terms of, videos or clips or, there's a certain that the phones have sort of created this like visual frenetic aesthetic to where a lot of the things that were considered very frenetic about Speed Racer, your average viewer
Yeah.
can just watch it like it's just normal now.
It's
It doesn't even phase them. They're not like, oh my gosh, like '08 audience. They're
most
just they're used to watching crazy mashups on TikTok. So there's a uh, there's a training that the audience now has to a more frenetic visual experience.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you can speak this, but most things kids watch, right, are just they're made that way. That's just the baseline for like little kids programming, right?
Yeah.
It's incredibly like kinetic and visual, and you're like,
Yeah.
I feel stupid that I'm not keeping up with it, and it's the language that they can use. And I think the other thing interesting you said about like how disappointed it was when it, when it comes out and doesn't hit. I think it speaks to like making the movie and going, I think I'm on the set of a good movie. Because ones that come out and don't do well, there are times where you can think back and go, yeah, we knew it was like a 50-50 shot, or like this isn't what we envisioned. Like you kind of prepared yourself for 6 months to a year to find that out. But this was, I would imagine, however long the post production is, but you spend that time going, I can't wait for people to see it. They're gonna
Yeah,
love it. This is gonna be huge. Like beyond all the other fun stuff, like I'm in a movie the Wachowskis made, like I'm acting with John Goodman, like all these things that just for you as a human being, you're like, I got paid to do this. This was great. No notes. And then to hear people not have that reaction, it feels very relatable to be disappointed. And then, I
totally.
mean, it's kind of great that this gets to be a victory lap. People are going to buy the 4K when they didn't see it in the theater. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty, it's surreal. It is surreal to have people come around to this degree and loving the film and appreciating the film in a way that, in '08, after it came out, would almost be unimaginable to
Oh,
me
yeah.
at that moment, But I don't know, there's some sort of, I don't want to say it's like cosmic movie justice, but there is
Yeah.
something kind of cool about, a film that people think is special that doesn't do well when it comes out, but then the audience decides.
Oh yeah. There's all the, not every good movie, but like as you go back and look at like what your favorites are growing up, it's like a 50-50 shot of what made money and what was a failure and what had to find its audience. Like on a long enough timeline, movies find their audience. It's harder now just because everything is available and you don't flip things on TV in the same way that you used to. So like, the channel, growing in New York, like Saturday afternoon channel 11 movie, you'd be like, "Oh, what 80s movie am I being shown now by my dad that like now will be a thing I think about forever?" That I don't know how well it did. It probably did terribly. That's why it's on basic television Saturday at like 2 o'clock. But then it becomes a thing that's hugely important to you. And I think we kind of devalue opening, how important that is in favor of like, oh, this was expensive. It needed to make a lot of money. And sure, it should have. It would have been great for a lot of people. But at the end of the day, no one's actually suffered because of that, except like maybe a like corporate guy. And like, if I had to pick someone to suffer, I'm okay with someone there as opposed to like you or the Wachowskis or like John. Like, I know where my bread's buttered, so I'm okay with that. But I mean, this is a great moment to be able to kind of look back and go, we were right. We were just early.
Yeah, it's pretty special. It's to get to see the film again in IMAX
Yeah.
and really see it in this upgraded 4K. It's like it's the upgrade. They did such a good job, and it's not just the visuals, the sound too. It was remastered with this Dolby Atmos sound. It's pretty cool. It's cool to have been in a film like that,
Yeah.
they'll probably never get made ever again.
No,
It's
that,
just cool to have been in a film
yeah.
like.
Well, that's as we wrap up, that's the thing I was thinking about besides just like the fun of like kind of getting to be right eventually is what was it like just a random day on set where you have to be like, I don't really fully get what's happening because it's not all there yet, but I trust the vision and I know I'm not doing anything like what I've done before. And now you can speak to, I've never been asked to do that again.
Yeah, I mean, it was just total trust in the Wachowskis, knowing that they had made the Matrix trilogy and Bound, and were just incredibly talented writers and directors and filmmakers and just artists, period. And just embracing that and trusting that they have the vision, and I think that was like, I think one of the main things where you're looking at a green screen and there's nothing there, but there's something there because they're making film.
Oh yeah. And at a time where a lot of movies, whether it was the 3D trend or whatever, you go to see them and you'd be like, I know this is expensive, but it kind of looks awful. Like I don't the movie may not be bad, but it looks cheap. It looks like this will be the technology for 20 seconds. And
Yeah.
like you watch Speed Racer now or next week for people, looking at this, and
And
it looks as good or better than, I'm not gonna say the movie I'm going to see tonight, but like it probably looks better than that one.
I also think for me, the character of Speed
Oh yeah.
going back and looking at who he is now and reevaluating it all these years later, he's a character I really like.
Yeah,
Like
he's a good dude.
he's a good dude. He's
Yeah,
like soft spoken, good person, lots of heart, very sincere. Like I don't I think that was one of the things I was almost the most surprised by when I watched it again. I was like, man, I really like I like this guy.
yeah. Anyway,
You know?
I don't necessarily mean myself. I mean the character. I don't know if I remember liking everything about me at the time, but I like
No,
Steve.
but
Like,
but it's interesting because it's like you play the character and you're so like you're so subjective, and then it's like 20 years later and you're like looking at yourself as a 22-year-old. I'm 41 now. I'm like,
yeah.
whoa, wow, that's interesting.
Oh yeah. Thank you so much for doing this, man. Always a pleasure
Thank
to
you,
talk to you,
Jay.
and kind of amazing to talk about Speed Racer. The cartoon was like my mom's favorite cartoon, and Sunday would have been her birthday, so it's kind of nice to do this. So
Oh man,
I
that's
appreciate you as always. It's always a
Joey.
pleasure, man.
All
Thank
right,
you.
take care, bud.
Be well.